Dale Earnhardt Jr. has joined us. He drives the number 88 National Guard Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. And Dale, you're trying to make some history here this weekend. I haven't been too many drivers that have won both races in the same year at Daytona. Just talk about your quest to try to do that. I know you enjoy coming down here for this race, but just talk about your outlook this weekend at Daytona.
Yeah, I guess Jimmy did it last year, and before that it was Bobby Allison, I guess, in 82 or 83 or something. So it's real tough to do, especially with the way the package is now. Real hard to get by the leader, and we know that pretty well from the way we ran in Daytona earlier this year. So I haven't got a chance to see how this car is going to respond to the track, and I'm certain that it's going to be competitive. Knowing that it's not the same car, though, we'll probably have to see if it's got any different characteristics in the balance. And it's a lot different temperature, surface temperature, dynamic weather temperature than we had in February. So, got to figure out how that's going to affect the way the car drives, and if the balance of the car might be any different. But which I would welcome the balance of the car to be a lot more challenging at this place, and get us to where we're using up a little bit more racetrack, and get handling to come into play a little bit. It'd be a lot more fun. But hopefully the surface is starting to age a little bit, and we'll see when we get out there, though. I don't anticipate it being a whole lot different, but it's got to change over time.
Let's go here to Jim and then to Ed. Jim, Ed, and then Alan.
Jim Noble, ESPN. Heard you on the radio this week with Eli Gold talking about, I think you said you have a point to prove after your strategy at Talladega didn't work out the way you hoped it would. Can you elaborate on that and why you felt like you almost had to, in some way, apologize for the way that race went?
Yeah, it was embarrassing, man. I hate to talk about it, but the way we ran and the way what I chose to do at the end of that race was just uncharacteristic of really anybody that's in the field trying to compete. And I just got really frustrated with the way things were working out for us, and lost sight of the overall big picture and what you're out there trying to do, and who all is out there depending on you to do what you need to do. So I learned some lessons. You're never too old to learn them. You're never too old to be taught a lesson either. And I definitely experienced that in Talladega this year. So, when I'm out there running, I think I got real selfish at Talladega, and what the result and how the result affected anyone, I never took into account. I really just was out there thinking more about me and what I thought and what I wanted to do and how frustrated I was, and forgot that there's a team behind me depending on me, and a lot of fans there to see us race and show up and spend their hard-earned money. So definitely was a difficult thing to go through, and so it just I'd love to sweep the races at Daytona, and that is a cool thing, but I just love winning here. So to go to victory lane here, regardless of what we did in February, would mean a lot to me, and I expect that we'll try to do the best thing we can to help us strategy-wise, so we're toward the front at the end. We did it perfectly for the 500, and we're in a position at Talladega to gamble and make it work like several guys did, and we sort of chose. We learned a little bit there too, as far as how we can be more aggressive with our pit strategy, considering where we are in points and how many wins we got. So hopefully we can do that. If we run out of gas, I can take that, trying to win the race. So we need to be able to be willing to gamble and make that happen, because I think that's what it's gonna come down to. The way they do these races these days is you got to get that track position. You got to be first. When everybody's done pitting, you don't want to have to drive through the pack. You can't. It's hard to pass, and you get boxed in. And so what happens is you need to be putting fuel in your car as often as you can, so that the last time you've got to come down pit road to get in that window, you need to only put a few gallons in the car to reach that window, where maybe the rest of the field or a majority of the guys are putting 12 or 22 gallons of fuel on that stop. You're only putting in what you need, and you beat them off pit road, and there you are in position to win. As long as you as a driver can maintain the track position over the restarts and everything else that's going to go on over that run. But so we know we need to do it that way. It's just hopefully everything falls in place, the cautions and everything else. Steve's the master at the strategy. I've seen him improve so much over the last 4 years, so I feel like I got the right guy on the pit box.
Go Ed, Alan, Bob. Go ahead, Ed.
Ed Hinton, ESPN.com. Dale, having won both of these races down here, which is a taller order, do you think, to win the biggest race in NASCAR with 500 miles, or this real quick night crapshoot? Is there one that's a taller order than the other?
They're both probably very similar physically to win. It's the mental picture that the Daytona 500 gives you, and the pressure that comes with that spectacle. And I mean, there's so many people here. The drivers meeting alone will set the tone and can take you out of the race, or just really intimidate you if you let it. There's just so much happening and so many people on pit road, and you're being thrust in front of all these people to shake hands and meet, and you just want to think about the race and get in your car, and you don't want any distractions, so you're just really kind of struggling through that the whole pre-race. It won't be like that for the 400. I mean, it'll be the typical weekend. But the Daytona 500 is just so crazy before the race, and that just gives you a different feeling and lets you understand how big that race is, and how many people must be paying attention to what's going on at that moment. So I don't know whether the viewers are any different. I'm sure they are for the 500, and you imagine that as a driver. But all those things really take a back seat once you get in the car. But I remember when we were running there at the end of the 500, just how nerve-wracking all those restarts were. That's much more of a bigger deal when it's the Daytona 500. And but winning here regardless, I mean, it's a great feeling. So you're going to try your guts out. But I think you get much more nervous and certainly aware of how big the situation is when it's the 500. So mentally, maybe it's tougher.
We'll go Alan and then Bob Pockris. Go ahead, Alan.
Alan Kavan on NASCAR.com. Jimmy was just in here talking about how important it is to get off the truck and just be fast. So when you're thinking back on your success already this season, or will be important going forward, do you think about the wins, or is it runs like Kentucky or maybe Sonoma where you weren't expected to get a great result and you ended up getting one?
Well, I mean, we surprised ourselves a couple times this year, like at Sonoma and in Kentucky, after how practice and everything was going. I just couldn't believe they did such a good job getting a car put together that was as competitive as it was for that race. So those things are what builds momentum and builds confidence. So when we struggle, I used to get really frustrated on Fridays or Saturdays when practice wouldn't go well. And you definitely don't allow it to affect you as much anymore, knowing the potential that things can turn around so quickly for this team. The team's so well resourced and has so much information to use. So, weekends like last weekend, typically, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we wouldn't have rebounded or run as well. The ship was sinking on Friday, and it would have been underwater on Sunday. And but we seemed to be able to, calm down and talk it out and patch it up and make something work. And just comes from a lot of experience, some great engineers, and really amazing work that they're doing. The speed in the cars directly relates to Kevin Meandering and my engineers. It doesn't directly relate to Steve Letarte. he's the orchestrator of the individuals and the people and running the team. But the pure speed the car has comes from the engineers and how they choose to set the car up and work on it throughout the weekend. So they're doing an amazing job. And when we can go and run like we did at Sonoma and then go to Kentucky and struggle and rebound so quickly in a matter of a day, it makes you feel good. But, man, this is the way this sport's always been. You can win Daytona 500 one day, and then the next day can be the worst day you've ever experienced in this whole deal. And that's just the way it goes. I've had them days like back to back, and you wonder why in the hell it's like that. But that's the way it goes sometimes.
Back in the back, Bob Pockris.
Bob Hocker, Sporting News. To prepare for this weekend, did you look at film or tape of the Daytona 500 and/or Daytona, and kind of what was going through your mind when you watched the film?
No, not really. I didn't watch any film. I have a pretty good understanding of what I was going through, what I was thinking about throughout the last several 100 miles of the 500, and understand what was working for me and what mentality I need to have. And you just really have to kind of crack the whip and push yourself mentally to fight as hard as you can for every position. Once we got put in the lead in Daytona and we started battling with Biffle and the 99 car and whoever else was up there, you just had to really reinforce to yourself how important it was to not allow settle into second or third and allow just allow that to be all right, because it was so important to be the leader on the restarts, to have that control and have that, have the control of the person behind you and who was starting on the outside of you, and whether you wanted to be in front of your teammate on the outside line or in front of your teammate on the inside line. That was so important. And we saw that near those last several restarts, to have Jeff behind me at that last restart. So you had to keep reinforcing to yourself as you were running, and if someone would get up beside you for the lead, how important it was not to let that person have the position. And you had to run extremely aggressive, side drafting, and trying to box them in on the fence and making it really hard for them to take the position away. And I realized that if I get put in that situation again, that to win the race, you're really going to have to play some pretty hardcore cutthroat racing.
We've got time for two more, Dinah, and then Don Coble. Then we'll need to let him go. I'm sorry.
You've been asked, this is Dinah Pulver with the Daytona Beach News Journal. I know you've been asked this question several times over the season, but you started tweeting the night of the 500 after you won, and you really have taken to it, seems like amazingly well, and had this great relationship with the fans. What is it about Twitter that you enjoy the most?
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm tweeting too much. Sometimes I think that Twitter's got filters on my account to keep me from seeing all the negative stuff. But it's been fun and been so positive. I really underestimated how enjoyable it would be. And I enjoy sharing, what we're doing, what I think's cool, what's important to me. And I enjoy seeing that feedback and also having that interaction, the conversational interaction about topics. I enjoy a good comment, a smart aleck, and my mama was a really good smart aleck, and so I can appreciate a good smart ass. So I enjoy the going back and forth and stuff like that, and also just reading, just seeing what everyone else is talking about and what interests everyone else. Basically mainly in our own industry, just seeing what people think's important today and what they're talking about. So it gives you so much access. I know the fans have a lot of, feel like they get a lot of great access, but for me, it's just, it taps you into the heartbeat of everything, whether it's in what's going on in here or what's going on in the garage, what some of the executives are thinking. It really gives you an idea of exactly what direction everyone's going in. So it's pretty neat. So I'm having fun with it and just trying not to make any missteps, and it's been very positive.
Final question for Dale. Go ahead, Don. You need to turn on the mic, Don.
There we go. Don Cola with Morris News Service. You know, a lot's been said about your consistency this year with the 12 top 10 finishes, but if you go back to the chase from last year, you've actually got 20 top 10s in your last 26 races.
Wow.
How do you, I mean, first of all, how did that happen? You know, and number two, does it surprise, I mean, are you kind of amazed by just how consistent you've been?
Certainly, yeah. I mean, I'm just thrilled with the way the team's competing, obviously, and I don't look at those stats directly, but I know that we've been doing some great work since the beginning of the chase last year, and I don't even know, maybe even a little bit before that. But I felt like in the chase we done everything just right except for Chicago, and at the end of the year, I thought, man, if we can, whatever happens during the off season is really going to be able to tell us whether we can be good enough to win the championship this year. If we start the year off a little better, like we have each year before that, because if you just look at the graph from 2011, whenever me and Steve got together, if you look at our performance, I mean, it's been almost a linear trajectory and improvement. It's just it seemed to make sense that this year would just be that much better. And when we won and then we come out of the box and run second a couple times, I was thinking, man, this is awesome. This is as good as I've ever had it. Running as good as I've ever been at Hendrick and maybe even DEI consistently. Running up front every week or having a good car that can stay in the top 5 every week. So I remember when we were just happy to put together a top 15 a couple weeks in a row, and then it became top 10s. And then, man, if we ran in the top 5 a couple times, we were really doing it. So it's sort of steadily gotten better. So that progression really makes sense to me. But at the same time, when you do look at the numbers, it really surprises me that the team has been able to sustain it, you know, because that's been the tough part for me over my career, is really to sustain any kind of momentum and get ourselves running well for a long period of time. But you know, we'd start off great and then have a terrible summer and then maybe end well, or it just never was complete. So it seems like this team is as good as it's ever been, and you know, hopefully we can maintain it. We'll worry about next year and the change of the crew chief and all that good stuff, but man, it's important for us to sustain this for this season, more important than anything else. So we're going to concentrate on that.
Dale, thanks for coming in, and good
Thank
luck
you.
this weekend.